This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. This is not atypical for me, but I want to outline my perspective of the political conventions that have been going on in America and lead you more to a trend-following philosophical foundation as an alternative to the belief in the political conventions, the political process that in the United States of America, let's just be perfectly frank, is an absolute joke. It's a joke. It's not good. The American body politic, the people, are marionettes. They are attached to strings, and there's big hands moving them around. That's one way to think about it. When you look at the political conventions, and I said I try to be a little controversial, but I guess for some people, maybe they'll take this as insulting. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just being an observer, a casual observer of what I see with no desire than to just give an honest assessment. But if you look at the political conventions and you just flip on the channels randomly at CNN or Fox News, and I don't care which one it has been in the last week or so, both of them, and the camera pans to the people, they look like clapping seals to me. They look like jellyfish, spineless vessels, wearing colors, clapping their hands. And sadly, they have this look in their eyes that says, my hero is on the stage. My savior is on the stage. When I vote this fall, everything will be back to good or fixed because my guy will do it. This is sadistic. This is a sadistic process because these men and women on the stage are not going to fix your economic health. Sure, they might have some bearing on it in some way. However, the only thing that you really should be concerned about is your account, the dollars in your account. And if you want the dollars in your account to go up, sitting like a happy seal at one of these political conventions, clapping your, I don't know what they call seals. Are they wings or flappers or whatever they are? I don't think it's not a wing, obviously, but fin, something, I don't know. What's on a side of a seal? I have no earthly idea. Anyways, let me give you another way to look at it. The human zoo. I think that's what this has become. I don't know if you remember, and I can't remember his exact character he played in the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, but Roddy McDowall was one of the apes that befriended Charlton Heston. And he's actually on, I'm not sure if it must have been before. He was on a Twilight Zone episode, the old black and white Twilight Zone in the 60s. And he's an astronaut. And he's left Earth with his partner, I believe, and they're going to Mars, and they crash land at Mars, and I believe his compatriot dies in the crash, and then there's some banging on the door, and he's like, oh shit, excuse my bad language, whatever, I don't really, this happens. They're banging on the door as he's crash landing on Mars, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. He's like, oh my gosh, I've landed on Mars. Are there going to be monsters out there? And they open the door and it looks just like him. It's people. It's human beings talking English, et cetera, et cetera. And they're immediately very hospitable and they take him to a house. And he's like inside the house and he's like, oh, this is great. I'm in this house. They're being so nice to me. They put me in this house. But nobody was really there with him, so they put him in this house. And so eventually, though, he realizes that the doors don't open and the windows don't open and he can't get out. So he's in this nice house on Mars. His partner's dead. All these apparently human-like people that were very nice to him originally are now gone. And he eventually, there's just like this he's in the living room, and I think the curtain pulls back, and he realizes that all the Martians, which just look like people, are looking at him. And he realizes that he is behind bars. And they're kind of like all looking at him as he's in the house behind bars. And he can't figure it out. He's like, what the heck? I thought they were being nice to me. Now I'm behind bars. And he looks down and he sees a little sign, not unlike what you would see at a zoo. And he sees a little sign that says, Earthling in its natural habitat. And so even though they look the same, the Martians had put him in the human zoo. And to me, this is what you have at these political conventions. These are people that are in a human zoo, and they don't even know it. They're in the zoo. They are being kept. And I would argue that it's not just necessarily the people in the conventions. It's Americans in general. We have lost sight of how things really operate. And the mathematics of budgets and entitlements are so off the rails that I think they can't be fixed. It's just a matter of when some major issue happens. And right now, to me, it looks like all of the central banks around the world have made one bet. We will force people into risky assets, and hopefully we can then take the risky assets will go up. It will spin off capital gains taxes. It'll spin off gains taxes, and then we can help to pay off the other problems by basically pushing people out of their savings into risky assets to then take their tax. It's just a huge transference. It's not very pretty for people that don't understand it. Now, of course, this has nothing to do with trend following. I'm laying the backdrop for you that's out there who are not currently a trend follower, and you don't know what to do. That's the backdrop. That's the hand that you've been dealt. Now, let me take it a step further. This is a great excerpt. I'm going to read it. It's going to take a few minutes. It's either from Charles Smith Hughes or Charles Hughes Smith. It was off Zero Hedge. But this is where the rubber meets the road. Hear me out for a sec. Both Mitt Romney and Barack Obama will give us happy talk about maintaining entitlements, benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, that cannot possibly be sustained. They will talk about energy self-sufficiency. They will talk about creating jobs. They will tell us that we can somehow grow our way out of economic distress. But neither candidate will admit that technology now destroys more jobs than it creates, because to do so would be to commit political suicide. The fact is, none of the happy talk will ever come true. Instead, the federal government, with the tacit approval of both major political parties, continues to run trillion-dollar deficits year after year in a futile attempt to spend our way out of our economic problems and to sustain an economic model that cannot be sustained. Continuing, those who believe that bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. will also bring back jobs are trying to fight a war that has already been fought and lost. Why? The answer, technology. And, I put this in my book, Trend Commandments, too, very briefly. The technology is arbing away jobs. But continuing, it's actually a fairly simple process now to bring production of many items back to U.S., simply because of automation and robotics. A factory filled with robots can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, so as long as raw material inputs keep flowing into the factory. Robots don't take breaks, don't make mistakes, they don't call in sick, they don't take vacations, they don't require expensive health insurance, and don't receive paychecks. A fully automated robotic manufacturing facility might require only 100 workers, while a traditional assembly line facility might utilize 3,000. That's a huge difference in the number of jobs. The simple fact is that most of those lost manufacturing jobs are never coming back. There's your controversy. No one is honest enough to say that, okay? And if they're not honest enough to say it, you have to ask yourself, why? What's the purpose? It's either on purpose, pure manipulation, or ignorance. Either the politicians are ignorant of what I just described, or it's on purpose. Now, really, play this out for a second. Is it really possible for them to be ignorant of these basic facts? I don't think so. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with massive manipulation. Oh, yes. Back to the human zoo. Strings on the marionette. That's where we're at. I'm just laying the foundation. I'm just trying to be deadly honest about the foundation that you face. And if you want to get ahead, you've got to pick an option. You've got to pick an option that's not political belief. And your guy, blue or red, left or right, up or down, it doesn't make a hill beans difference. I'm not an unhappy guy. I'm not pessimistic for myself. I'm the most optimistic guy. I smile a lot. Seriously, I really do. I don't, but I think you've got to be a good observer of what's going on. You've got to be honest. You can't just be in la-la land and and I talk to people on the right and they really truly think that just electing their guy is going to fix everything. If Mitt Romney becomes president, that's going to all be fixed. There's no way it can fix the math because just as many Republicans are addicted to these crazy entitlements that America it lives under. The Medicare, the Medicaid, the food stamps, the Social Security, all these silly things. And they are silly. It's entirely silly that healthy, able-bodied people have been promised financial goodies for doing nothing. I'm sorry, that's bad. It's not good. Now, I understand if there's people that can't take care of themselves, older people. Yeah, I get it. But we're well past that. This is not just taking care of the lowest bottom rung anymore. This is a situation where everybody is we have sapped the spirit. We have sapped the human spirit, and we've got a mess. And we've got clapping seals at political conventions that think if their guy's elected, it's all going to be fixed. It does not make the math go away. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make the math go away. A great quote that I have that I put in my book, 10 Commandments. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system, they will fight to protect it. I'm pretty sure that's The Matrix, right? The film, The Matrix. Let me read that again. I just love that. That's fantastic. So few words, right? But isn't it saying a lot? You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on the system that they will fight to protect it. A dead, dying system, they will fight to protect. Okay, let's get specific because I got to make a transition. The transition is, that's the system that you're facing if you have not already given in to understanding that a trend following approach is a wise way to approach uncertainty, a wise way to approach volatility, a wise way to approach what the central banks or Bernanke will do next. There's a foundation, though. To get to the trend following mindset, it's really a scientific approach. Trend followers essentially are operating scientific research labs, and the research materials are the financial data. The markets are their laboratory. And it's all about knowing the probabilities and the payoff. What are the probabilities for something to happen, and what's the payoff? That's trend following 101 right there. Now, of course, you've got to codify that into techniques. You've got to know the portfolio you're going to trade. You've got to know when you're going to enter, when you're going to exit with a loss or exit with a win, and you've got to know how much you're going to bet on each trade. That's a given. However, there's something more basic, the scientific method. And even if you apply the scientific method to these political conventions that I mentioned, you could actually get some interesting results if you're honest with yourself. I see 8, and I these are not mine, but there's 8 key things to the scientific method. To think scientifically. Number 1, define the question or theory. Number 2, gather information and resources. Observe. Number 3, form a hypothesis. Number 4, perform experiments and collect data. Number 5, analyze the data. Number 6, interpret data and draw conclusions that serve as a starting point for new hypothesis. Number 7, publish results. Number 8, retest. It sounds like the kind of stuff that you might have read in high school science class. That's trend following, though. Look, I'm not talking about not being passionate. I'm not talking about eliminating good emotions from your life. I'm not talking about not being a caring person. But I'm saying you don't want to be in la la land. You don't want to be basically on some freaking, self-induced LSD trip, as you participate either in person or glued to the TV watching these political speeches. I mean, I seriously, I really, when I see the people at those conventions, you can't help but feel sad for them. Because if you look in their eyes, it's like, they're just spaced out, man. They're completely not there. They've tuned out. They're in such hero worship mode. Now, for the people that are not participating in the political conventions, well, all the other compatriots, I know what they're doing too. They're watching Kardashian's show. So I'm not really sure it makes a difference. If you're watching to see, whether or not, they've detected another inch of cellulite on Kim Kardashian or whether her teenage sister has done something, and I'm not knocking cellulite or am I trying to make some kind of sexist, chauvinistic remark. I'm just saying, let's just be honest. Once again, let's observe what's going on. This Kardashian show and what it sells turns on a huge number of Americans, and it influences society, influences people, how they make decisions. I'm just saying, apply the scientific method to it. Once again, we're trying to figure out a way to get you to make money. Another great quote I just have to interject here, because I think as I'm talking, I want you to go ahead and do more. Go online, Google things that I'm saying, go check my books out, look at the performance data, lift a finger. I'm not trying to, be pushy or anything, but lift a finger. Great quote. Do not believe anything simply because you heard it. Do not believe in anything simply because it is rumored by many. Do not believe in anything simply because it is found written in your religious books. Do not believe in anything merely on the authority of your teachers and elders. Do not believe in traditions because they've been handed down for many generations. But after observation and analysis, when you find that anything agrees with reason and is conducive to the good and benefit of one and all, then accept it and live up to it. Yeah, that's not exactly the typical way people want to do things. So what's going to happen? Let's say everybody adopts this trend following methods that I'm talking about, right? Everybody says, I'm going to be a trend follower, Covel. It's not going to really happen. And for a couple of reasons. So once again, let's just think about the reasons why most people are never going to adopt some of these philosophical tenets that I'm outlining. Trend followers follow. They don't generate trends. People have a hard time accepting that. They want to know why something's happening. They don't just want to get on board. Trend following is a zero-sum game. Not everyone's going to win. But you know what? People play for different reasons. So it doesn't make a difference if it's a zero-sum game. Why are people not going to all become trend followers? Because the vast majority of assets are in buy and hold mutual funds. How do you take people that for 30 or 40 or 50 years who have bought into this system? We've seen the S&P crater 50% twice in the last decade. I'm sure it'll crater again. When? I can't tell you. I'm not making that prediction. But all those people that believe in buy and hold would have to put it aside and then adopt trend following. They're not going to do that. It's a fantastic opportunity for you. If you want to do something different, if you truly want to make the most money possible, it offers tremendous opportunity for you. The fact that the vast majority of market participants are, once again, in the human zoo. They are the marionettes, controlled by the likes of Fidelity and Vanguard, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're one of them, I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just trying to say, look, I started this off saying I try and be controversial. And I think in this day and age, controversial equals brutal honesty. But what's the point if I'm not being brutally honest? And if I'm saying something that's not dead on in this, reach out and tell me. I'd love to hear from you. CNBC, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, etc. Those would all have to end. I mean, unless those types of media operations go away, we're clearly never going to have 100% trend following acceptance. People have to stop gambling. People love to gamble. Okay? They love to gamble. They love hearing the hot tip. So people are going to stop gambling? They're going to stop eating? No. So the chances for these trend following strategies that I'm talking about, and I think this is the typical question for someone that's new to trend following, and they're like, okay, well, they almost can't believe that more people aren't doing it. So their first thought is, well, what happens if everyone does it? Well, I just gave you a handful of the examples of why everyone's not going to do it. There's other reasons, though. Seriously. I think some of the psychological reasons that people don't go this way: lack of discipline, can't stick to rules, impatience. If you tell somebody that, hey, guess what? You're not going to make money every month. It's going to come in inconsistent lumps and jumps. People don't like that. Greed. People want money fast. They don't get it fast. Impulsive behavior. That's reality show 101. I mean, it's like, if you feel it at this moment, do it. That's not really a good way for making money. Stay open-minded. I mean, I would venture to say that 90% plus people listening to this conversation or listening to this monologue that I'm having with myself would turn it off and either forget about it or disagree with it or go the other way or pretend I didn't say it. They just, I didn't hear that. It's gone. False parallels. People love to look at situations like, hey, the fall of 2008, fall of 2012 is going to be like the fall of 2008. No, you can't make those connections. You don't know that. Remember, a trend follower is not trying to make a prediction or a projection. You're just saying, I'm going to follow along. I've covered some territory in this monologue. And from outlining the human zoo concept, the political captivity that people are in, it's mindless. Man, it's mindless. And I'm not trying to be, Debbie Downer. I mean, if you really, really want to believe, if that's what really makes you happy, to believe that when you are watching TV or you're in that audience at that political convention, if you really want to believe that that person is a special hero, and if you really want to believe that you're not being manipulated, who am I to stop you? I want you to be happy. I really do. And if that makes you happy, God bless you. I'm not really a terribly religious guy, but God bless you. Last but not least, obviously, this is what I do. I help people to get to a trend-following understanding. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And I really don't ask for feedback on how to educate people or the best way to do it. All I do is I say, what do I know? How have I been influenced by other people? And what message can I give back? There's a lot of people that say, talk to your customers and find out what they want. Give them what they want. And that's kind of the problem with society today. Everybody's given the customer, the people, the masses, what they want. They wanted 64-ounce big gulps. They got them. They wanted junk food on every corner. They got it. They wanted the government to take care of their health care. They got it. They want government to take care of their retirement or pretend they're going to take care of their retirement with Social Security. They got it. It's all kind of nonsense. So to me, I relate to a very famous quote from Henry Ford. And he said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. I'm not giving you a faster horse. If you want to train with me, if you want to glean insights from my world, if you want to take my 15 years of experience, if you want me to help you out, if you want me to help you down the path to a new understanding, I'm glad to do it. But don't come complaining when it's not what you expect. Because what you expect is what you've been conditioned to receive. And it's not generally good. I don't even like to really use the word complain, because I'm sure there's people out there like, oh my gosh, this guy Covel, he's scaring me. He's very pessimistic. I'm not. I'm trying to be very observant. I mean, I'm going to go out this afternoon and I'm going to have a fantastic couple-hour yoga session. My brain will be completely cleared. I will be at peace now. So actually, I would recommend that to everybody. Look, thanks for listening today. I know I've tried to make this thought-provoking. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.